Hi, my name is Bill and I'm a docent here at the California Auto Museum in Sacramento, California. This car we're looking at today is a 1909 Cartercar Model H touring car. Cartercar Company was founded by Byron Carter in 1905, started his own company. So one of the interesting things about back then is that you could just say, hey, I'd like to go start my own car company, and you could. We could see here it's got a fairly unique logo, as most of the cars did back in the day. But a lot of fairly typical aspects to this car that you would see with cars back then. It's got an inline four-cylinder, 200 cubic inch, puts out 20 horsepower, which back then was considered pretty normal and pretty typical. It uses acetylene-fired headlamps, gas-powered, and that's sometimes if you see a tank like this on the side of an old car, because they put the acetylene gas in there and charge it up. And then we don't have the rubber hose here, but it would run rubber hoses up to the headlamps, and you take a little lighter or whatever flash you had to set a fire up there to start the lamps. Car sold for $1,150 in the day, 1909, which nowadays is actually a relatively expensive car. In our modern day, that would be about $38,000, $39,000. One of the really unique things about Byron Carter was he was a proponent, a proponent of something called the friction drive transmission. We're all used to, transmissions running a gear off the back of the motor, and then it goes to some other gears, and then you shift it into high and low and things like that. What Carter did, his design was using a spinning disc on the back of the motor, and the disc would spin, and then there was a friction wheel that came in sort of like this and turned this way with a chain drive off of it. So you would get the car going, get it up to a speed, and then you'd use this handle to move the friction drive wheel further towards the outside of the spinning disc. That would in turn make the car go faster. Middle would be neutral, and if you shifted a little bit to the other direction, now you'd be able to go in reverse because the spinning wheel would still be moving the same way, but you'd be on the other side of it. Really, if that sounds familiar, that's a forerunner to modern CVT transmissions. And he considered it the car with 1,000 speeds is what he called it in promotion. Carter actually sold the company to General Motors in 1909 and got out of the car building business in that sense. General Motors had the car, was bought by a guy who led General Motors called Willie Durant. And he was sort of asked to leave General Motors, the board of directors, mostly because he would go out and buy a lot of different technologies that they would look at and would wind up not using. And the Carter car was a good example. It didn't sell very many, and after Willie Durant had left, the General Motors board decided, let's just discontinue the Carter car line. They wound up using all the tools and the manufacturing plant and such to start the Oakland line, which eventually spawned the Pontiac line. So a little bit of a trace of history through this car to the Pontiac, the modern day Pontiac. So please come check out the Carter car and all our other cars here at the California Auto Museum.